Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Oliver here. And in today's video, I want to talk to you a little bit about the dark side of tattooing. Because tattooing can be a very glamorized career where it's really easy to look at an artist's life from the outside and you just see them as a creator, someone who's drawing all day, who's painting at night, and who's making a bunch of money from their craft. But the truth is that this is a super difficult career. So I don't want to give anybody any false expectations about what it's actually like coming into this world, because it has a real dark side. There's a lot of pain and there's a lot of suffering. So that's what I'm going to talk about here today. Number one, we've got the physical pain. And I'm not talking about the clients, I'm talking about the artists. It is super uncomfortable to sit and tattoo for hours at a time. The body is not meant to do that, and it causes a lot of problems for artists. You're gonna find that people have back pain, they have hip pain, they have neck pain, shoulder pain, jaw pain, and even if they don't have pain, they're gonna have tension. And this tension has such a big impact on how we feel day to day and our ability to actually feel good and to be happy. Because when we're in tension, when we're tense like this, it tells the body that we're under stress, and that releases stress hormones. So it's going to have a negative impact on our ability to actually feel good, because these stress hormones, if they're released chronically, they're going to be destructive, and it just has such a horrendous impact on our bodies. So as a tattoo artist, it's super important to take care of yourself physically, because this job is super demanding. Like, you're putting pressure on your clients all the time. You're always in tension in order to do the tattoo. It's never just a case where you're just sitting back and you're laid back and you're relaxing. It's like you're gonna be on the edge of your seat, bent over, hunched up, and you're stretching the skin, and you're trying to get your lines in perfect. Then when you're done tattooing, you're like trying to relax, and then your body just feels like it's been run over by a truck. And this is anybody can handle that once in a while. But if you're going to the studio 3, 4, 5 days a week and you're experiencing this, you're gonna notice the effects of it sooner than later. It's gonna leave you with problems down the road. So again, the physical aspect of tattooing is something that's really commonly overlooked by aspiring tattoo artists and by clients. And I want to make sure that you guys realize that it is super tough physically. It's not a relaxing job. All right, and that's bringing me to my next point, which is the mental and emotional suffering that comes from monetizing creativity. Again, it's really easy to look at somebody who's making money selling their artwork and to say, well, they're living the dream. They're making money from their craft. They're living their passion. They love what they do. And I think the truth is that this can be so far from the reality for tattoo artists. There's so much suffering in this industry. So many people are having such a hard time. And it's when you monetize creative energy, you've gone from simply making a creation for the fun of creating to, well, now I have to make this creation to please somebody else, to make money from it, to survive. I'm relying on their positive judgments, their positive opinions on what I'm doing, so that they'll pay me money. And maybe I have a family, maybe I have people that I need to support. And even if it's just me, I still got my car payment, my bills. I want to have the money to do things I want to do in my life. And putting that pressure on your creative spirit, it can break you. It is so tough. And I often see, myself included for a long time, tattoo artists that fall down this hole of not expanding their artistry because they're scared to deviate from what they know their clients will like. Think about that. If you have a style of artwork that is selling, then you're gonna feel resistance to changing that, because you don't know if people are gonna like your new style. And if they don't like your new style, if they don't like your new creations, then they're not gonna pay you money for it. And if they don't pay you money for it, well, then you're screwed, because you're probably doing this because you need to make a living. You're trying to survive. You need money to live in this world. And you've just taken your artwork and you've turned it into something that makes you money. So you find a style that you know sells, and you only do that to please these people. It is so easy to get caught up in that lens, and then you're never going to develop yourself more fully. You're never going to experiment with different styles. You're never going to do things out of this little tiny box that you know is what's going to sell. And this is rooted so deeply in us because we need to survive. We need to survive. And if your clients stop paying you for what you're doing, then again, you're screwed. And the problem with this is that artistry should not be dependent on what other people's opinions are. You shouldn't have to make a creation and then think, oh, are they gonna like it? Is it gonna sell? What are they gonna think of this? It should be something where you're tapped into the flow of creative energy inside of you, moving through you, and you create something regardless of what other people think. And oftentimes the greatest artists in the world have created controversial artworks that people hated. But if you're relying on that positive judgment from your clients, then you're gonna probably have a hard time deviating from what is known. And I think that this is why so many artists fall into the trap of addictions. There's a lot of addiction in the tattoo community. People that are just trying to manage the burden that they feel from selling their creativity and from having a body that feels like crap because they've been tattooing all day. So there's a lot of pain and suffering in that sense, that people will start to rely on substances in order to escape or to numb the pain because they maybe don't have these tools and strategies that they need to truly release that pain and release that physical and emotional tension from their bodies. And my next point would be along this line of, you're not just a tattoo artist, but you're a business. You're a business. When you go from being an artist to being a business, you're opening the door for so much more stuff to go on, because you're no longer just making artwork for the purpose of making artwork. You now have to market yourself, you now have to do your web design, you now have to do your scheduling, your consultations, your bookkeeping, your budgeting, your accounting, and all the other stuff that goes on when you run a business. So I'm talking about being in the business of art versus being an artist. And I would even take that a step further and say you're not so much as an artist in this industry as you are a service provider. You're providing a service to people. That's what you're doing, because you're working with people and they come to you and you give them something that they want. It's a service that you're providing. And I think that the sooner you can start to realize this, then the more at peace you're going to be with the career that you have or that you're developing. And alongside being in the business of art, you have to remember that you're probably going to be self-employed in this industry, which means you don't have any of the benefits of traditional employment. This means that you don't have employment insurance, you don't have healthcare, you don't have any type of benefits like that. You're not going to have retirement savings. You're not going to have sick leave. You're not going to have paid vacations. Like, yeah, you get to be your own boss and make your own schedule, but you're gonna miss out on a lot of the stability that comes from traditional employment. And I know it's easy to look at it and say, well, I could handle that. But once you're in this and you're 5-10 years down the road, you're going to start to crave that stability. You're going to want some sort of system that you can rely on to take care of you down the road, because now you gotta just fork up money if you gotta go to the dentist, or if something happens and you need to take time off work. Like, what do you do when you have to take time off work? Because let's say you broke your arm. I broke my arm when I was younger. I couldn't tattoo for 6 months because I had to have 2 surgeries on it. What do you do in that case? You have no employment insurance to rely on. You're basically going to be screwed. So you just don't have those benefits of traditional employment. And of course, there's positives and negatives, like anything, but these are just things that you have to consider before you get into tattooing, because this is the reality that you'll be faced with. So there's one more point that I want to make here, and it's social media. Again, you're a business, and you're putting yourself out there in order to generate clients, and social media is a great way to do that. But it also has a super dark side to it, in the sense that you might find yourself comparing yourself to all of these other perfect artists and perfect tattoos and perfect social media pages that you see online. Tattoos, they're not meant to be perfect. I know that the media makes it look to be that way, but you can't expect perfectionism from a tattoo. Everybody does because they say, well, it's on me for the rest of my life. It has to be perfect. So much pressure on this thing to be perfect because I have to wear it forever. But at the end of the day, these are humans that are putting this work on you, and they're artists, and no artwork is ever perfect. But it's so easy to compare yourself to the perfectionism that you see in the online world, and that also has a huge detriment or a huge destructive pattern to our creativity, because our creativity is not going to be perfect. We have to be willing to make mistakes, to experiment, to have trial and error, and to refine ourselves. And the more we seek perfectionism, the more we're going to truly limit ourselves and our ability to grow a business, but also to be an artist and just live a fulfilling life. All right, so I hope that this gives you a little bit of appreciation and insight into what it looks like behind the scenes of a tattoo artist's world. And if you're thinking about getting into the tattoo industry, I'm not trying to deter you from doing that, but I do want to make sure you're not just chasing some sort of shiny idea, because this is a really, really difficult career, and you're probably going to have some struggles on your journey. And I don't want to create any false expectations here.